What is up, YouTube? It's your boy, The Walk 71. Play Stay with a 4, and I'm here with another wrestling review for you all. This one being WWE Money in the Bank 2020. Now, this show, like a lot of WWE shows, with the exception of NXT, was filmed inside the WWE Performance Center. This is a very short card. This is a short show, actually. It's only like 2 hours if you don't include the pre-show. This is like 2 hours, which is weird because I don't remember the last time probably that I've seen a WWE pay-per-view in under 3 hours. It's very interesting. But I guess it's a way to shorten the shows during these trying times. So I guess it works. The show wasn't that bad, though. I actually enjoyed this pay-per-view for the most part. We had the pre-show match, Jeff Hardy versus Cesaro. Jeff Hardy's second match since returning. Now, I was going to review this match, but I didn't watch it. I know Jeff Hardy won, but the reason I'm not going to review it is because Jeff Hardy himself said he was going to come back with the No More Words theme song, and he came out to the Hardy Boys theme song, and he won the match, and the Hardy Boys theme song played. So because of that, I don't care about the match. Fuck you. Like, that really hurt because I was really looking forward to seeing Jeff Hardy come back to WWE TV so I can hear the No More Words theme song, so I got a reminiscent of my childhood when Jeff Hardy was WWE Champion and World Heavyweight Champion. But I don't get to relive that, so screw it. Jeff Hardy won. So we ended up opening up the pay-per-view with, let's see, what do we open the pay-per-view with? Let me make sure. We opened up the pay-per-view with a Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Championship match. The New Day versus The Miz and Morrison versus the Forgotten Sons versus Lucha House Party. This was the opening match of the pay-per-view. I didn't really pay attention to the pay-per-view because I was still trying to this match, I should say, because I was still trying to set things up and I was like on the go and whatnot, so I had to set things up on my laptop and whatnot. But when I got to it seemed like your standard Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. They always have these matches at least once or twice a year for either the Raw or SmackDown Tag Team titles, where they just take like the 4 teams that are being utilized and then they just put them in a tag team Fatal 4-Way match. Like, I'm pretty sure they had a match like this at, if it wasn't Money in the Bank, it was another pay-per-view where they did like a Fatal 4-Way for the tag team championships. It was like New Day, Bald Villains, Gallows and Anderson, and somebody else. I don't even remember. That's how long ago it was. It might have been somebody. It was a bunch of teams. But yeah, the match itself was cool. There was a lot of, close near falls. There was one part where the Forgotten Sons hit their finisher, but it was broken up. Miz and Morrison went for the Skull Crusher finale into the Starship Pain for a near fall. There was even a moment where you thought, hey, maybe the Lucha House Party will win the tag team titles. No. But they ended up taking a Midnight Hour from the New Day. No, not even Midnight Hour. No, F all that, because they kicked, I believe somebody broke up the pin when they hit the Midnight Hour on the Forgotten Sons. It actually ended with Big E hitting Grand Metalik with a big ending and retaining the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. There you go. It was a cool match, I guess, for the most part. I mean, standard Fatal 4-Way match. The only thing I liked that I kind of really stuck with me was seeing John Morrison and Kofi Kingston have their little one-on-one moment for a few seconds or a few moments or whatever. Just because I just want to see them have a match and have it be like WWE All-Stars, so they're just jumping around the ring and whatnot. But that's just me. So after that, we ended up getting a match that was originally scheduled to be RTruth versus MVP. It was a match that was made, I believe, Saturday of the pay-per-view, like the Saturday before the pay-per-view. So the match starts, or it was about to start, but then there was like stuff between RTruth and MVP, where RTruth is basically trying to show MVP how to ball, because as you know, that's MVP's gimmick, is that, balling, all that stuff. So he did that. Bobby Lashley's music drops. He told MVP, take the night off. RTruth's like, hey, why can't I take the night off? And then what proceeded to happen was that Bobby Lashley just killed RTruth and won the match. And maybe there's even a tease that we might get this thing with MVP, because, MVP said he's starting a stable. Maybe we'll get a BDC reunion from Impact, the Beatdown Clan, when it was MVP, Bobby Lashley, Kenny King. Then it just started getting ridiculous because they added Samoa Joe, then they added Low Key, and then I think they added Hernandez, and then that's when it all ended. If you know, you know. But this match, it did its purpose. Bobby Lashley won. Hopefully MVP is either a manager or something significant to Bobby Lashley. I really feel like he could boost Bobby Lashley. I feel like Bobby Lashley does his best when he has somebody talk for him. When Leo Rush was his manager, hey, it was a lot of entertaining stuff. He got 2 Intercontinental Championship runs out of it. Hey, maybe this time you could use MVP to boost him. And then eventually we'll get the Brock Bobby Lashley match in the near future. Probably not, but hey, it's good to hope, right? So after that, we got the first of our 3 world title matches. We had the SmackDown Women's Championship, Bayley versus Tamina. Didn't really pay attention to this match either, just because, like, the build-up I didn't care for. I haven't really been watching SmackDown like that. I haven't really been watching wrestling like I used to in terms of catching everything at once. It's been a lot of YouTube clips and just catching up from, like, recordings and DVRs and stuff. So, like, to say I've been paying attention to this feud would be a lie. All I know, I don't even know how Tamina got the match. I'm trying to think, because I like watch the clips, but I don't even do that. I barely do that now. It don't really matter. The match wasn't all that. So we get to the end of the match, and it looks like Tamina's about to set up for the splash. She goes for something. Sasha Banks gets involved. Then eventually, Tamina tries to go for a Samoan drop, but Bayley somehow reverses it into a crucifix pin and wins the match. And after that, they pretty much just attack Tamina after the match, and Bayley and Sasha celebrate. So it looks as though they're still trying to build this story or drop little seeds or whatever they're trying to do between Sasha and Bayley, where it seems as though every time somebody is close to beating Bayley, Sasha gets involved. And Bayley ends up winning the match. It happened at Mania, and it happened at this pay-per-view. And I'm pretty sure at Backlash, which surprisingly is the next pay-per-view, which is weird because it seems like after that last Backlash pay-per-view, I thought WWE would never do another Backlash pay-per-view. But basically, they're dropping seeds. It seems as though Sasha doesn't want nobody to be Bayley for the SmackDown Women's title other than her. So every chance she gets, she will get involved when the match is about to conclude so that Bayley will win. So just little stuff like that. But it's whatever match. I won't really pay attention. It is what it is. So after that, we got Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt for the WWE Universal Championship. But this time, it's not the Fiend Bray Wyatt. It's just regular Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt. He comes out. He's all happy and everything. Braun comes out. The match starts. Braun does his typical Braun stuff where he just attacks Bray Wyatt, throws him around. The momentum didn't switch until Braun does the little thing where he runs around the ring pretty much. And then Bray Wyatt moved out the way. And he sent Braun crashing into a announce table. After that, the Firefly Funhouse puppets start to cheer on Bray, and Bray, I guess, used that to get momentum. He hit like a DDT on the outside, a tornado DDT. He hit a Sister Abigail for a near fall. Then after that, there was a point where Bray seems like he got the upper hand, right? And then Braun comes back up with the sheet mask, because the whole story of this is that, you know, pretty much Bray has reminded Braun of where he came from, that, you know, you turned your back on me after I didn't give you everything. All I want is this title back, yada, yada, yada. So Braun comes into the ring with the mask on. He does his little taunt. Bray Wyatt is, you know, he's happy. He's like, come on, Braun. He does all his little old mannerisms and whatnot. And then as soon as they both stand up, Braun takes the mask off, and then he looks at Bray really angry, and Bray's like, oh no, what are you doing? What are you doing, Braun? And then he picks up Bray and hits him with the running power slam and wins the match. Can't even say I'm mad that Bray lost in this match, because this is the only version of Bray that should lose. It's like the Firefly Funhouse Bray, because this version of Bray is more kind of like weak, and he's all happy and, you know, kind-hearted and whatnot. So seeing him lose, I'm not even upset. But knowing what they're planning on doing with Roman, I guess Roman's going to be the one to take the title off of Braun. I would much rather see The Fiend versus Roman at, like, SummerSlam. Hopefully, if it's in front of a crowd, which it probably won't be. But this match might even set up for a Fiend versus Braun match, and then that's where the title will switch. After the match, they had, like, little stuff with Bray staring into the camera, and they did the little old Bray Wyatt transition they used to do when he was like the cult leader and whatnot. I thought that was interesting. So it seems like this feud is not over though. I see this going to where the Fiend just kills Braun or something. But after that, we got another championship match: Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. This match actually wasn't that bad. I enjoyed it for the most part. I felt like this match wouldn't be too bad, because I feel like Drew and Seth could put on a good match, and they did. So it pretty much started off with them trying to, power each other out before Seth Rollins started working on Drew McIntyre's knee, hit a bunch of suicide dives. There was one cool spot where Drew McIntyre caught Seth Rollins in the middle of a suicide dive and just tossed him over the announce table, and I thought that was pretty cool. It was funny. So after that, they just traded moves pretty much. There was a superplex spot for Seth Rollins. There was a future shot DDT for a near fall. There's a curb stomp for a near fall. We get towards the end of the match, and both men are pretty much trading shots, but, ricocheting themselves off the ropes until eventually Drew McIntyre hits what's this move called? The Claymore kick, and he wins the match. And it's pretty interesting. It was actually a moment after the match where where Drew puts his hand out to shake Seth Rollins' hands, and Seth Rollins looks at him, and he shakes his hand. So I guess there's like a respect thing, there or whatnot. So, yeah, it was a pretty good match. I say if you do want to see a match that wasn't the Money in the Bank ladder match, I say watch that match. That was a pretty good match. It wasn't. It was fun. After that, we get to the men and women's Money in the Bank ladder matches. Now this is a cinematic match, like the Firefly Funhouse match and like the Boneyard match. It's filmed different from other matches, and it's pretty much filmed like a spectacle. So this time they switched it up with the Money in the Bank rules. The entire match will be taking place at WWE headquarters in Connecticut. Basically, the briefcase and the ladders are on the roof of the building, and all 12 competitors, because both men and women's matches are taking place at the same time, have to fight from the bottom all the way to the top. So they have to essentially climb the quote-unquote corporate ladder, and then once they get to the roof, they have to grab an actual ladder and, grab the Money in the Bank briefcase and win. So it started off with introductions, like each of them just standing all next to each other, and then eventually the brawl started. If do I need to say everybody in the match? I guess I'll do that. So for the women's match, we had Dana Brooke, Carmella. There was Dana Brooke, Carmella, Lacey Evans, Nia Jax, Asuka, and Shayna Baszler. And from the men's side, you had AJ Styles, Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, Baron Corbin, Otis, and Daniel Bryan. And basically, they all had the little introductions. They're all in their little spots. The men started fighting in the weight room area, and the women were fighting in the lobby of the building. So both matches started at the same time. It instantly started Asuka on top of something. It's right above the elevators, and it had the Money in the Bank logo, and she just jumps off of it and just takes all the women out before she eventually gets on an elevator and goes away, and then all the women are chasing after her by going up the stairs. The men, on the other hand, are just brawling all crazy in the weight room. There was one part where Otis takes this giant weight and puts it on top of AJ Styles like a bench press, and he's just stuck to the ground because he can't lift it up, and he's yelling at Ray to help him, and Ray's like, nah, I gotta go, B. So that happens. They eventually transition to the next floor. The women are fighting, and somehow they ended up crossing, what's the word? I guess you could say crossing lanes with the men, and they start fighting. They didn't start fighting each other, but there was this area that had I guess you could say one side of a ring. It had ropes and I guess a floor. And then the men and women were fighting each of their opponents on there. There was a spot where Daniel Bryan was just kicking Baron Corbin in his chest all stupid. He was kicking my man's Corbin in his chest all stupid, and Otis just cheering him on. I really don't think Otis did much in this match, wrestling wise. He was just very entertaining. He was cheering for him, and then once he finished kicking Corbin, Bryan started kicking the crap out of Otis. There's another funny part where all the men were running, and then Rey Mysterio was the last to run, right? And then as soon as he did that, Brother Love comes out of nowhere. Bruce Pritchard comes out of nowhere and says, I love you, after using the bathroom. And Rey Mysterio was like, yeah, I love you too, but I gotta go. And then and on the women's side, they're just brawling all over the arena. There was actually a really funny spot where they were beating up each other, and they ended up in this conference room, right? And basically, Dana Brooke takes out Nia Jax with the chair, and she climbs up on this table and grabs this Money in the Bank briefcase. It actually looked pretty cool because it was a clear case and actually had money in it. She grabs it and she thought she won it, and then Stephanie is like, what do you think you're doing? Well, if you worked here, then you would know that this is the Money in the Bank conference room, and that the real briefcase is on the roof. And she was like, clean up, because Nia's drooling. And then Carmella took a picture of her with the Money in the Bank briefcase and smashed it over Dana Brooke's head. So after that, there's just more brawling all throughout the building before we get to another midpoint where the men and women are, face to face from each other. My man's Paul Heyman got a giant plate, a giant table of food, and that man looks like he's ready to feast, right? Then after that happens, all of them go at it. My man's Otis takes a giant plate and and throws it on Paul Heyman, right? And Paul Heyman just everybody's looking like, and my man's Otis is just having I don't even know what you would call it, but my man's is shaking while he has a sandwich in his hand, going crazy, and then he yells food fight. So then they all just start throwing food at each other. There's more brawl. There was actually one funny part where Shayna Baszler had Rey Mysterio in the Karafuda clutch, and right before she let go, both Otis and Nia Jax just ran full speed at each other and just straight collided into Rey Mysterio, and Rey Mysterio just died for a minute. There's also another funny part before the food fight where Dana Brooke came back and she still had the picture on her head as if, she just didn't take it off. I thought that was pretty funny. But then there's more brawl. Nia Jax throws Dana Brooke into a Coke machine and she puts Carmella through a table. The men are still brawling. There was actually another part where I believe, was this before or after the food fight? It doesn't matter. But there was there was two other parts. There was one part where AJ is walking around the building looking for Rey Mysterio. It was early in the match, a little bit before the food fight. And he was looking for Rey. It was showing a bunch of pictures, and it actually just kind of confirmed what everybody was thinking, which is what's going on with Roman. There was clearly, it's a storyline at this point. They're showing different pictures of wrestlers. They had one really dope picture of Rey Mysterio where he was in his Mysterio costume from WrestleMania last year, and it was the Tron had his mask, but it was him standing in the center. I thought that was pretty cool. Other pictures, and then there's this one giant picture of Roman Reigns from WrestleMania 33, no, not 30, 34, and he's doing his little pose with the pyro and everything. So it's pretty much confirmed that Roman Reigns is not Chris Benoit. We're not Chris Benoit him. It's just part of the storyline, which is why they stopped mentioning him on TV. So after that, AJ sees a picture of Undertaker, and he instantly gets PTSD from the Boneyard match. He looks at it, and he's like, what? And then there's a room that has a casket in it. It's all Undertaker themed. He's looking at it, and he's like, nah. Walks right back out, and he walks right back out, and Aleister Black kicks him in the face and closes the door. So we get towards the later half of the match. Everybody's brawling after the food fight. Oh, how could I forget the other part? There was another part where Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles are brawling throughout the hallway, and they somehow end up in Vince McMahon's office. And then they're still fighting, and then Vince just gets up and start yelling, what are you doing? Or he said something. And they all just stopped in fear. Fear. Okay, yeah, this is after the food fight. Okay, we'll go with that. So after the food fight, they're fighting, right? Otis hits John Laurinaitis with a pie when he reaches the catering. But then after that, the Daniel Bryan AJ spot where they're fighting in Vince McMahon's hallway, and then they end up in his office. Vince McMahon yells at them. They just all look like, oh God. So then they're about to leave. They put the rolling chairs back in position, close the door, and Vince just puts hand sanitizer on his hand because he's old, so this coronavirus will take him out. So then he puts the hand sanitizer on. He sits down and he gets back to writing a bunch of names on his list to release next. So after that, we have all of them fighting until eventually they get to the roof, and then this is where the conclusion of the match happens. It ends up being Lacey Evans, Nia Jax, and Asuka because Nia Jax just takes everybody else out. She threw Shayna into a door, and they just took her out. So then Nia Jax and Asuka are going at it. A ladder's finally set up. Lacey Evans eventually gets involved. Asuka throws a ladder on Nia Jax. Lacey gets involved once again, but Asuka kicks Lacey into Nia Jax, and that takes both of them out. Asuka's climbing the ladder, looking for the briefcase before Baron Corbin somehow gets back into the ring. He tries to stop Asuka from grabbing the briefcase because that man has to get his heel heat at all points before getting kicked in the face by Asuka. Then eventually Asuka unhooks the Money in the Bank ladder match, and she is your 2020 Women's Money in the Bank winner, which is amazing because I feel like Asuka, out of everybody in that match, deserves it, men included, because Asuka has went through so much in this company. She's done so much for this company that I feel like she should be appreciated. hopefully she, uses it to go after Becky or Shayna or whoever's next. She's just like, I just feel like they need to do right by Asuka after all the stuff she's done for them. And I feel like they're starting to realize how valuable Asuka really is, especially during this coronavirus. She literally has done everything they've asked of her. She was on Main Event, SmackDown, Raw. She did WrestleMania. She did everything, bro. I feel like she should be rewarded with that, and that was great. And I feel like everybody else in the match will be fine. Like, Nia Jax has been doing the same thing for like 5 years. She's been beaten by everybody, and she still walks around like she's dominant, so her losing this doesn't matter. Shayna's gonna get another title shot regardless, so that didn't matter. And everybody else in the other match was just like whatever, so they served their purpose. So after that, it just comes down to the men. They're all brawling. Let's see, we got AJ in the ring, and who else? I believe it was AJ and Corbin before Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio got involved, and we're gonna get to what happened to them. So basically, Aleister Black takes out Otis and Rey Mysterio. They both are fighting. They're both trying to climb the ladder before getting taken off the ladder. And then once that happens, Baron Corbin is just fighting on the outside. And he just says fuck it. And he throws Rey Mysterio off the roof of the headquarters. Now, granted, from the angle, it looks as though they got thrown off the roof. But if you look, they've done multiple angles where they show like the roof of the building, so you like can see if from a roof perspective. I'm pretty sure the ring and the Money in the Bank platform was, higher up. So granted, they probably got thrown off of some, but they probably landed on some, but it wasn't like completely off the roof. But if they got thrown off the roof, bro, I would have been crying in tears. So after that happened, Baron Corbin says, screw it, 2 for 2. Let's get a double homicide. He throws Aleister Black off the building too. So both of them are dead. So then after that happens, we get back into the ring, and it's basically AJ and Corbin climbing a ladder, fighting each other before they both unhook the briefcase, and they both have their hands on it. Elias comes out of nowhere and smashes a guitar on the back of Baron Corbin. He falls off. AJ Styles loses his grip on the briefcase, and somehow out of nowhere, Otis just rises, is back on his feet, grabs the briefcase, and Otis is your 2020 Money in the Bank winner. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but honestly, I'm actually intrigued and interested to see what they do with Otis winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. It's interesting, mainly because it's something new, and that's all I've ever asked for WWE is to do something new. Stop pushing the same people that you've been pushing. At least try something different before you just, give up on motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad to see that Otis is getting a shot. Now, he did a post-match interview, and he pretty much said he would only use it to cash in a tag team title match with Tucker, which I guess could work. It kind of would bring importance to the tag team titles if he does that, because, the rules states that it's for any championship, anytime, any place. So, okay, that works. So, that could happen. There's 2 routes they can go with this. Like I mentioned, there could be the tag team title route where they finally get a title run, or it could lead into somebody beating Otis and taking his Money in the Bank briefcase. Who knows? But overall, I enjoyed Money in the Bank for the most part. It was short, which always sways my opinion. If I don't have to watch a 5-hour wrestling pay-per-view, great. I enjoyed the show. The Money in the Bank cinematic ladder matches was great to watch. The Drew Seth match was fun to watch too. Overall, it was a good pay-per-view. I enjoyed it. If I want to do a rating, so I think I said I was gonna start doing ratings earlier, and then I just kind of fell off of them. I get a pay-per-view like a 7 out of 10. It was good for the most part. It passed. It did its thing. It did exactly what it needs to do. It entertained me for the most part, and that's all I could ever ask for. But you guys know what to do. Like, comment, favorite, subscribe. Follow me on everything that is in the description below. That includes Facebook, Twitter, I believe Instagram, my Twitch page that I don't even use, which I should start using. I'm just terrible at doing things, but eventually I'll get better. But I'm out. Y'all enjoy yourself. Wash your hands. Use hand sanitizer. All that stuff, so I can, go outside and do normal stuff that I usually do. But I'm out. Peace.